AI content generation is all the rage these days. Videos, images, and text can be generated at the touch of a button. But what if you could make a tool that caters to your personal voice and message to then post on LinkedIn? That's what we are going to build today inside of Replit using OpenAI's API. After today's project, you will have the starting point not only for a tool for yourself, but to build a profitable SaaS business. Here we are on Replit.com, and we are going to put in our prompt here in the main text box. I had one written up here. I'm actually going to click the Improve Prompt button, and let's see what it does here. It should keep the spirit of what I wrote, but it should improve it and kind of give it a more of a better way to talk to Replit and tell it exactly what we're trying to build here. So a web-based LinkedIn post generator. Okay, core features, file upload, to pick what kind of context documents we want. Text prompt input with generate button. Yep. Okay. Visual references. Okay, and a style guide here. Kind of made up a style guide. I didn't give it a style, but let's see what it does. Let's start the chat. So it takes a few seconds for it to kind of grind and see what it is that we wrote here and to kind of come up with a plan. So it's going to sit here and grind for a little bit. And here it is. It's telling us it's going to build out a LinkedIn post generator with ChatGPT AI integration. That's great. That's what we're going for. We could perhaps make this with Anthropic AI. And if you prefer that, you could swap out the API keys for Anthropic keys or a different model if you have it. If you're hosting DeepSeek or something else on a server, you could swap it out for that. So here we have created a feature list based on our request. If everything looks good, we can start creating. So we could start with a design. Best if you want to see a design prototype first, then iterate on visuals or features, or build the entire app. Best if you want the agent to build out the full functionality of your app. It says it'll take about 20 minutes. I'm actually going to choose the design one because I want to iterate more on the user interface, kind of get that straightened out. And then from there, we can kind of figure out what we want to do with the user interface and change things up before we get more into the meat and potatoes of the app. So let's start designing that. Okay, just a couple things to note here. We are dealing with Agent 3. So I'm probably going to do a future video on Agent 3. It's pretty interesting technology. You can use Agent 3 to completely build out an app, even beyond what we're doing here, even though I think this does a really good job. You're supposed to be able to kind of really set it and forget it, and it kind of figures out everything for you and kind of comes up with a complete application beyond what we saw on that previous screen. I think that Replit does really well with kind of iteration back and forth with the user just to kind of see exactly what it is that you want to build. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what it looks like to completely build out an application using something like Agent 3 while we're grinding away here. We just want to kind of look at what Replit is doing, what it's building out. And so far, this is looking pretty good. Card-based layout with clear input and output sections and 20 pixel spacing, responsive web design. Yep. I think it got loading states. Okay, we'll see what that looks like. All right, we'll be back here to see what it comes up with. Okay, it looks like Replit is done building out the design of our application. So far, not looking too pretty, but hey, we'll work on that. We're just kind of looking at the layout right now. We got the drag and drop and upload for documents. That looks correct. That's good. What would you like to post about? And then you kind of put in here what you want to post about. That's cool. That text box works. And then there is a generate post button. That's good. We look at the generate content side, generate a post, and your generate post would appear here. Well, there's no copy button, so we need to add that for sure. Over here is where we would expect the copy button to be, but it's not there. And it says that it encountered an error when I asked it to put in the copy button. So I'm actually going to keep iterating on design, and I'm going to repeat that because I think we hit a system error there. So let's see what happens when we ask it again and see if Replit has a problem. Okay, so it actually gave me an answer here. It sees the issue, and the issue is actually with me because it only shows the copy button after it is visible, meaning the content is visible. So then it's not going to show the copy button unless there's actually content to copy. So it is showing up now, and it's over here in the upper right, which, you know what, I like that because the post will be down here, and I would think the user would want to hit a copy button in the upper right. So let's see how that goes. It actually wants me to add in the OpenAPI key here. So let's go get that. Okay, so here over in OpenAI's API key generator, we actually want to create a new key and we want to come up with a name. So in this case, we're going to call it LinkedIn Post Generator. Here we go. And we're going to create secret key. Now, when you get this key, you won't be able to view it again. So you want to make sure that you do put it in a secure place. So if you do just kind of need to toss it over into some other document, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you do copy it once here. You hit done. And in our case, we're going to put it right over in our values. So it's going to go over into our secrets tab, which we'll verify that here in a second. And we can keep iterating on design or build out the functionality. Don't ask me again now. I want to keep that up here. So if we hit that plus over here, let's verify that in our secrets tab. So this plus button here in Replit, this gives us a selection of other kind of applications within Replit that can be very handy and things that you use while you're developing your app, especially the database tab. That comes up a lot. And then if we do publishing, this is actually how we publish our app out to the internet. So that is a handy one as well. So here's our OpenAPI key. We can hit the I there and then it will show it, which of course right now it is blurred out. So that's just for my eyes, not for your eyes. But that is where you would put that. And we're going to go back to our preview tab. We do have our copy button. I'm actually going to hit the build functionality button and let's have it build out the rest of the functionality. Now that it has the OpenAI key, we're going to actually really kind of start getting into the meat and potatoes of this program. One of the things that I'm hoping that the application starts doing, what Replit starts doing here, is actually kind of coming up more with a style. I'm actually pretty surprised with the design phase that it didn't come up with more of a style. So let's see what it comes up with. Right now it sounds like it's really just kind of talking about building out functionality, but I'm hoping it does build out more of the style, but we'll see what it comes up with. So it looks like Replit is done building out the application further, and sadly it hasn't done much with the style, but we will get to that here in just a moment. One of the things I do want to point out, though, is that my OpenAI API key has exceeded its quota, and I found that out because Replit has recently added this kind of, you could almost call it QA, quality assurance testing. So, and it has a little recording here, and it actually kind of robo-tested and tested out the application and did it through the various steps. So it kind of figured out what I'm going for based off my description of the application and how it should function. And then the generated post didn't show up. So this is pretty handy here that it kind of shows this replay demonstrating what the computer thinks, the AI thinks that it should do functionality wise. So over in OpenAI, this actually happens a lot with other APIs as well. You want to make sure that your kind of, usage quota, your money is topped up a little bit. So go over to your settings, go over to billing, and you can see here I have now a balance here. It was down before, and I actually have some threshold kind of payment settings set up here, and you can do that through the modify button. So that's pretty handy that when it reaches a certain quota amount, it's going to fill it back up. So that's really nice. So let's go back to, actually I'm going to hit dashboard there, get us back there and get us back to API keys. Let's go back to Replit, and we can see that, well, it thinks it has a professional LinkedIn inspired design. I don't know why it thinks that, but we'll work on that. It's actually kind of surprising that it didn't come up with a better style. Some of this other user experience stuff we're going to kind of mess with and see what we can do to help out the style here a little bit. Okay, so one of the things I'm curious about is, can I add documents to this interface to modify ChatGPT's output? So we're really in a development environment here, so let's check that out with the database. It looks like it has not been set up yet, so we may need that for kind of keeping the context of what it is that we're trying to post. But let's, you don't want to add a database until you really have to, until we really kind of need that functionality. So let's see what the AI says here for this part. Yes, absolutely. This feature is already built into the application. So drag and drop the files. I actually have my LinkedIn posts already exported. So I will show you guys how to do that here in just a moment. So here we're going to drop in the LinkedIn posts. And I can see now that we need a send button. So after that prompt, we actually still don't have a send button. But boy, oh boy, did Replit do a lot of thinking along with a lot of UI testing, QA testing. So under here in Agent Tools, you can actually turn this off. And I'm considering doing that because it says that these options may result in higher costs. And that is one thing we definitely want to cut down, is higher costs, because it looks like it's doing a lot of testing. So I may be switching that off here pretty soon between some of these prompts. This is a new feature, and I'm actually not even really used to having it in my applications, and I think done just fine without it. So if it kind of keeps on spinning its wheels, I'm going to turn that off here soon. And it thinks it's done, but it's really not, because as you can see, there is no send button here. So we want to add in a file here to our create post. So let's bring that up. And if we plop in this format document, when I click the send document button, that did get generated. I guess it wasn't right below here, but it's there when you plop in a document. Not that that's really that big of a deal, but we can hit developer tools and we hit this button. I'm going to clear this out. And nothing happens. So we should see something in the console. What we should see is a call to OpenAPI. So if you're using Chrome and on a PC, it's probably something close to Mac. You go to more tools and you go to developer tools. You use this a lot when you're doing a lot of web development and kind of looking at this console. Because what the AI will like to do is say, hey, I put in this logging, and you're like, logging? Where's that? It's not like just coming up right here in your front end. No, you've got to look at the actual developer console. So when you're developing these apps, it's really good to kind of have this console help handy to see what it's outputting. And in the case of something like this, you would expect it to be an HTTP request to OpenAI. So we should see that here in a line item. This is something else that's happening in the background. That was not anything I did. So you should see a line item there for a post to OpenAI using the API key that we have, and then making a call to OpenAI to actually upload this file. So it's not doing that, and we need to figure out what's going on. Okay, so in the prompt box, we're actually going to say nothing happens when you hit the send button, and after you select a document. Probably could have phrased that in the reverse order there, but let's see what it does here. So we have a couple things here. One, I'm going to turn off the kind of QA testing, app testing that we have going on here. I don't like how long it takes, and I don't like the extra costs. It's kind of really slowing down app development. This was just recently introduced, so I'm going to turn off this feature for now. I really don't see a lot of value in it because I'm testing everything, and this is a pretty small application. Second, I put in another prompt here because I've looked at the code and I saw that the actual kind of upload functionality really isn't doing anything. So that's kind of the fun things of Replit. If you are an engineer, it's good to kind of go into the pages and kind of see what the buttons are doing. So I'm actually not really seeing any functionality here at all. So I think the AI thinks it's doing something when it's actually not. So sometimes that can get a little bit tricky. Being an engineer myself, I know that may kind of seem like I have an advantage, but you can still get through prompting just saying, hey, AI, nothing's happening. I think you're missing this functionality. And in this case, I am actually really talking more as a non-engineer and saying that the upload document function should upload the document to the OpenAI using the OpenAI API. And the document should be used for continued prompt context files whenever the user puts in their own prompt. So let's see how it responds to that. And if it actually goes, oh yeah, I'm not really doing anything, let's get that up to OpenAI using the file upload API with OpenAI. The generation is done here, and there's a bit of a misunderstanding here between me and the AI, which happens. So it's good to kind of trudge through these errors. And what's going on here is the AI thinks that the files are related to the generate post, which is not totally incorrect, but I have now told the AI, hey, instead of thinking that every time you hit generate, looking at that file box and seeing if there's a file there, you separate that functionality, meaning the files that are being put into this box are being continually referenced throughout the life cycle of the application. So they really are kind of two separate pieces of functionality. The file upload, which is file contexts for OpenAI's API, then those are referenced every time you generate a post. So all the files that I put into this box are continually referenced for every single post that we generate. You could argue, well, you may need to add and remove and delete documents there. We can add in that functionality later, but for right now, any document that is put in here should be uploaded to OpenAI's API file context for every single prompt that we put in here. So I've pretty much said as much here in this prompt, and we are going to see how it reacts to that. Also, this went a lot faster now that we took out the app testing agent. So it's done working, and it looks like the AI now kind of correctly understood what I was going for, which is also my fault for not communicating that probably more clearly. So that's one of the things that you'll find with working with these tools is not that just that the AI does things literally, but that it really is very important to communicate clearly what it is that you're going for. So it looks like the AI did do the upload functionality, that it did create some additional API endpoints that you can see right here. So that's cool. And down below here, I started to question about the database tab. So I did that off camera here just to kind of dig into this a little bit and not bore you guys too much with it. But I said, hey, when I go to the database tab, I'm not actually seeing the database, and you can't see it here, but it's actually a Replit UI quirk, and it says it is doing it, or that it has created the database, and that when I run the code, it will create the record in the database. And we do have a development and production database, which I question here because I just want to make sure. So basically, before I test the upload context files functionality, that it will actually work. So I don't need to do anything special. So let's give that a try. All right, so here's my files. Let's put in the post format, upload to OpenAI. So hey, look at that. It kind of changed the state of that button. Hit upload. Okay. Oh, it even has a little trash can. I wonder what that does. If we actually go back up to our routes here, it does have a delete. Okay. So that's cool. We can also see that in our code, but it just kind of truncates it here to kind of show us what it's doing. So it does have delete functionality. We won't test that right now. But let's jump over to storage with our AP with OpenAI's API. Let's see if a file did get uploaded. Oh, will you look at that? That's what we want to see. That's beautiful. So what we have here is this is our dashboard on OpenAI, and this was our API keys that we saw. So if you go over here to storage, this is the actual file, and if you saw it before I refreshed, that it did not have any files there. So we hit refresh, and now we see the file and it's uploaded. So here's a file ID. So let's just remember T8V. Let's go back to our database, and it has not refreshed. Perhaps if we do the tab. Okay, that didn't work either. So let's refresh a page. So what's going to happen here is you won't lose any work. It keeps the history. Replit's really good about that. So that's nice. But if we refresh the page here, let's see if the database, oh boy, it did not refresh with any record. So we'll have to look into that. So let's ask the agent what's going on. So of course, whenever you have a question, don't panic, just ask the agent. That's the magic of working with these AI tools, is you can just say, hey, what's going on? Why am I not seeing this? And you can just kind of keep poking and prodding it to kind of figure out what's going on. So in this case, we're going to say, I uploaded a file to OpenAI API and it worked. However, I am not seeing the entry in the database via the database tab here in Replit. So I normally do. I've not seen this happen before. It normally does really well with the database, so I'm actually really surprised that this is happening. Maybe the AI forgot to do something, so let's see what it says here. Okay, so as I suspected, there was an issue with the database and with actually saving things to the database. So nothing was actually written to the Postgres database, and it was just in-app memory that it was dealing with here. So that's what this output is telling me. And it's asking me to try it again. I'm actually going to go back to OpenAI's API. I'm actually going to delete this file. All right. So we're going to bring back our files. We're going to do the same file again, which is just our format, post format document. Okay, go back here to OpenAI, just kind of confirm. It's a very small document. Yep, there it is again. Great. So we have that part. And we're going to open up our database tab. And it's still not showing up here. This is not typical. Usually the database is set up right here within the prompts and functionality that you're building. So I'm really surprised that this is not kicking up and starting up, and we're not able to see the record here within the database. The database, to me, is not showing up correctly. So this may be a little bit of danger zone going on here, but I'm going to ask in current chat to set up a database. So let's see if this actually kind of kicks it up a little bit. Well, okay, well, this is what I actually expect. Here's the actual development database, and here's the tables that it should have. And right now it doesn't have any tables. So hopefully it figures out from past prompts that it does need to create some tables. So let's see what it does here. Okay, so it's claiming now that the database has been created. I'd like to see it doing that, so let's give it a test. And with the file that we keep on using. So we're uploading that. It's uploaded there. We should see it within our database. Let's hit refresh. And it is not showing any uploaded files. Just to confirm, even though this has worked just fine. Yep, OpenAI's got that here. Let's go back to our preview. Let's test out this delete button. And it has been removed. So the record was not in there, as we all saw. And if we hit the refresh button here, cool. Our delete functionality is working with OpenAI. This is very surprising that the database, the pretty much local database, is having a problem, and yet the API integration is working better. That's completely backwards to what we're usually used to as developers. So we need to dig into this problem more of why the database is not saving the record. Okay, so we are going to say to the AI, I'm not seeing any rows being added to the uploaded files table in the database when you upload a file. So I am going to tell the AI that and see what it says about that, even though we have been battling this now for a while. But it's really good to kind of see these issues on camera and through a scenario like this and just kind of trudge through and see how we fix things like this. So I hope you guys are learning what it's like to kind of troubleshoot and work on these things together. So that's why I'm really just kind of trudging through this problem with all of you, because this does happen with AI development, sadly, but it does happen. And I believe that things are going to get better. So I believe that these AI tools with how we're learning to troubleshoot will always be handy, even though I believe that it's going to get better and better at coding and better at learning context and learning how to interpret what we're saying and to actually kind of get things right. So it's something that I'm a firm believer in, and these kind of skills to just kind of walk through and troubleshoot things is always going to be valuable in application development. Okay, so that prompt is done, and this is really funny. You would think it would know to do this by now, but it didn't create the WebSocket. What? How did it forget that? Support that it needs for the database. Very strange. That's the first time I've seen that before. So let's give this another try. Upload to OpenAI here. Okay, we've seen that part work. And now that is uploaded, we should be able to go back to the database. We hit refresh. Come on, big money. There we go. All right. So there's our entry. So it needed the WebSocket support. Sometimes AI is silly and it forgets basic things like that. Yep. First time for everything. I have done many applications, and that is the first time that I've seen the AI forget to add basic functionality like that. So, hey, live and learn, right? That's the way it goes. Now that we have the database record coming in here, and let's try actually creating a post. And before we do that, I just wanted to show you guys very briefly about the LinkedIn post format document that we have uploaded. This is actually something I did generate with ChatGPT. Sounds kind of odd, but I thought what it came up with was pretty good. And of course, you could sit here and really kind of fine tune how you want your posts to look. Don't worry about this formatting here. This is just copy and paste. It won't have like this white space won't mess up anything. And then it just has some words and phrases to avoid, even though we have some other documents for that, and just kind of style and voice guidelines. Again, you can make your own documents for this and really kind of fine tune this. I just wanted something that sounded pretty good. So if you've ever used ChatGPT for generating posts, this may look somewhat similar, but let's just see what it has. I put a little blurb here about creating a post about how people are looking to play more AA games versus AAA games, and that they want more reasonably priced games than AAA games. So I'm in the video game industry myself and kind of turned AI SaaS programmer. And so this topic is near and dear to my heart, and I will talk more and more as content goes on about the other projects that I'm doing. So it's generating, it's doing something. Let's open up the developer console. So that's a lot of warnings. We could take those out. Just go to the errors here. So we have some policy errors, but I don't think that matters. Hey, we got something back. Hey, at least we got the flow. So hey, that's a win right there. I like that. So this is pretty good. I'm not seeing any emojis, although that is in my guidance. Actually within code, AI did that. As I looked at the code here, let's actually open that up quick. We can. Okay, so I wasn't able to find that file. I think AI kind of took it out. It does that sometimes as it's revisioning code. But here we have a post. So this is nice. So I like this. We're watching a quiet but meaningful shift in the games market. Players are gravitating towards focused, fairly priced AA experiences over sprawling $70 AAA blockbusters. The draw isn't just to lower the cost, it's value, performance at launch, and time to fun. So that's cool. We could actually save this prompt as a tester prompt. So we could go back to our document here, and we could save that prompt, and we could save this post if we want to kind of, what am I doing? There's a copy button. Come on. So that was like our first post. And this could be our prompt. Save that. It's fine. Okay, and it got a little, what they call a toast or alert right there that said copied to clipboard, which we saw that with the text file. So let's drop in a bunch more kind of context files. And actually, I didn't confirm that those files are being used, but drag and drop. Okay, I don't know if it, well, let's test multiple files. Let's see what happens. Okay, it didn't take it. That's fine. We can do it one at a time. That's not a big deal. So we'll upload that. And so that was words and phrases to avoid. That's just a lot of other phrases that I asked ChatGPT about to take out. Really common phrases that people want to take out of ChatGPT responses. And the LinkedIn post clean. This is my LinkedIn posts that I've exported. Again, I will show you guys how to export your LinkedIn information here in this video. So that's really handy. Then more words and phrases to avoid. So a lot of words that I just kind of picked up here and there. But let's do our posts and clean, just meaning it cleaned up my text. I asked ChatGPT to clean it up just to make it easy. File uploaded. More words and phrases. So here we have those contexts. So that's nice. Now we need to confirm that the contexts are actually being used. Let's confirm the files are up on OpenAPI or OpenAI. And they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. And go back to the database, hit the refresh button, and there's our 4 files. So we have the IDs. We have the files up on OpenAI, up on the API. So now we need to confirm that they're actually being used in the post that you're trying to create. Hey guys, in the interest of time and brevity of the video, I actually had to do a little bit of other work off camera. I had to combine all the documents into one document. As you can see right here, we have it just as a master writing guide. The reason being that the OpenAPI had some issues with having separate files. So I didn't know about that and found out that was a bit of a limitation. It probably could have worked, but it kept on fumbling up on that. I also had problems with uploading the files directly, with the AI kind of getting confused about thinking it was more efficient to upload the files every time. Not sure why it thought that. But these are the types of issues that you run into working with AI. You have to keep correcting it and kind of bringing it back to where it's supposed to actually go and what it's actually supposed to do. So I had to clarify that. And then it got confused about the OpenAI Assistance API. And let's see here, the other problem that it had. Yeah, here's another uploaded files on re-uploading, update AI to attach files to runs instead of assistants. So it's really just kind of getting confused on what the exact way to implement all this functionality within the assistants API, part of OpenAI's API. So I've corrected most of it, and now I am back here about to clarify something else that it had a problem with. So right here, I opened up a ChatGPT and explained some of the errors that I was getting. So I'm looking at the console here. So you hit the little wrench up here, open up Start Application. I actually had to refresh it so the error log isn't there. But I have a ChatGPT response saying, hey, you're actually not using the right API and you need to correct Replit to use this other method to make posts to the OpenAI API. So I'm about to make that adjustment right now. Okay, so I actually copied that post from ChatGPT, making the correction to how Replit is calling the API, which I got directly from the OpenAI TypeScript file. So I copied this code, which is how it's implementing the OpenAI API. So ChatGPT saw that because I copy and pasted in there and is like, hey, you're actually doing this wrong and this is actually deprecated. So here, let me get you the updated code. So we will see if this all works once it's done grinding on it and making the corrections. So I've actually made a few changes here. I've kind of ditched the assistance API for going for more of based on what ChatGPT wanted me to do, the chat completions API. So that's actually how this app worked before. We were able to swap back to this API pretty easily. And I've actually given it more parameters to actually use ChatGPT 4.0 mini. So it should be faster. So here I did an example prompt and I actually split up my writing master guide and split that up from my voice guide. So voice is my LinkedIn posts that I have kind of curated a little bit and pulled down, which I'll show that as well, how to get that document. And the master writing guide is still just all of the guidelines that I have come up with, which I'll also provide in the project. So I kind of came up with an actual post that I would write. And this is talking about my other SaaS software and product that I built called Game Monument. So I am talking about that here. And I generated a post based off my guidelines and voice. And I got to be honest, this is pretty good. So this has come together quite well. And instead of building out just a custom chat GPT that you could do, and you could use all this, we actually used the API and built out a product. So now this tool can be used to sell to other people, and you could actually put more functionality around it. And that's why you just don't just do a custom GPT, you actually build out a SaaS platform that you can then iterate on. So this is the start of that. And probably in future episodes, let me know what you guys would like to see and put some comments below the video and let me know what you would like to see done with this product next. Here is how you export your data from LinkedIn to get things like your profile, your posts, and other information that LinkedIn holds on to that may be handy for you. So you click on your Me and you click on Settings and Privacy. And then you click on Data Privacy. And then you click on Get a Copy of Your Data. So this is going to give us this page, which we can select whether we want to download a larger data archive or if you want something in particular. I chose the larger data archive, and it did take a few hours to get all that, but it did not take 24 hours. I suggest doing that and just kind of sifting through the information that you're looking for. Before we wrap up, I just made a simple little prompt here with the architect and gave it a prompt of just make this a modern, stylish UI that you would find with a cool startup, and it got to work on that. And it came up with something pretty good. This is just a good starting point. You could do a lot more research and just kind of clean up the style on this, but this could be a pretty good just landing page for your tool and then just kind of iterate on the design from here. But, just kind of click on that button, takes you to the tool, just kind of gives a little bit more flair here with how the tool looks. So I would take this and then just keep iterating on the design and keep finding something that works for you and keep adjusting the style. This is just the beginning. Now that we have a great starting point with a SaaS tool with an integrated database, we have to ask ourselves, how far do we want to go? Let me know in the comments what you think we should do next, either with this tool or another one that we could build together. Don't forget to join my school to get the code. Link is in the description. See you in the next one.